What is up, 2K crew? It's Turbo and 2Ks. We're back. We're at it. And yeah, if you're new to the show, like, subscribe, hit us with a comment below, and introduce yourself. I'd love to chat with you, see what where you're at with things, because ultimately 2K crew, and see, Morgan is super pumped about it. So, uh, 2K crew, we're coming into that time right now where there isn't shit on, and there isn't a whole lot of topics. So we're trying to be creative here. We're trying to be creative, but hopefully, like the last episode kind of hinted at, is that the NFL is supposedly on track to start on time. So that's giving us a little bit glimmer of hope into this kind of abyss of sports. To be honest with you, I'm tired of watching a cornhole tournament, and yeah, it's just getting to be boring. I know NASCAR started, but I'm not really your NASCAR kind of guy. What about you, 2Ks? Are you get pumped up for NASCAR?
No, but I'm starting to kind of learn that my wife, Chell, is actually like a hidden NASCAR fan because every single time I leave the room and she gets TV to herself and I come back in the room, NASCAR is on the TV. So she won't admit to it, but I think I have it figured out that she's like a closet NASCAR fan.
Chelsea does kind of have that hidden like hillbilly in her too, so I could totally see that. I could totally see that. Well, 2Ks, let's jump off with kind of the story that took, I'm going to say, the mainstream sports stream headlines. I'm just throwing words together right now. But Blake Snell came out, and if you guys don't know who Blake Snell is, he's a starting pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays. Pretty much, what was it, last year had the not the Cy Young. The Cy Young was the year before that. Had Tommy John surgery and missed most of last year, and he came out and said that I'm not playing for half of my salary. It's either you give me my money or I'm not playing. And most all the sports talk shows kind of took this and ran with it. You know, they're running this dude into the ground, saying how much of a spoiled brat he is. You know, you had one good season there, Rook. How about you put up or shut up? And you know, of course, there's all the, you know, there's most people think that athletes are overpaid anyway, and so this guy to come out and say that, you know what, I'm not going to play a partial season for a part of my salary that I signed a contract for. And for those of you that don't know, we're talking about a $7 million year for this guy. So I mean, he's not, you know, making the league minimum. He's not making, you know, Bryce Harper or, you know, Mike Trout earnings, you know. So he's kind of, I'd say, towards the bottom ish of the half, if that makes any fucking sense. But what are your thoughts on it, 2Ks?
You know, I honestly don't blame the guy. And I kind of touched on it a few weeks ago when we were talking about, you know, kind of how the divisions were going to work out and if there was going to be a season, if we wanted there to be a season. But, you know, at the end of the day, for a lot of these guys that, you know, a lot of the big names that we talk about every day, the Trouts, you know, the Bryce Harpers, the Manny Machados, the guys that we've seen here in the past couple of years, you know, really make big time money. To me, it's not really that big of a deal for them because, you know, they're going to make their money over time. I mean, right. We're going to have a full season next year, I have to believe. But for guys like Blake Snell, you know, and for him being a pitcher, you know, your time in the major leagues is not guaranteed. I mean, you're an injury away from, you know, being done and not ever being able to make that. I mean, take a young kid like this who I believe Snell is like 26, 27 years old, and already has had, you know, one problem with his arm. And, you know, if you go out there and you're trying to play, you know, a half-ass season this year just to try to make some fans happy, and you're not making, you know, your full, you know, what you're really worth, and then something happens and you have a career-ending injury, you know, he basically gets nothing in the end, you know. So he's one of those guys that hasn't signed onto his big contract, and him already having a Cy Young and being as good of a pitcher as what he is, I got to believe that big payday is going to come for him. But I don't blame him. I do not blame him for anything that he said. And actually, I mentioned Bryce Harper, and Bryce Harper kind of backed him on it.
Yep. And you know, Bryce is one of the top earners in the league. You know, signed that big contract with Philly a couple years ago, and you know, I'm right there with you. And one of the things that when Bryce came out in support of Blake Snell is that he's like, you know what? Someone had to say it. We're all thinking it. Don't take this guy as like some villain. He's not, being a whistleblower. He's just standing up for what he believes in. And if the ownership and him can't come to an agreement, then, especially coming off Tommy John surgery, I mean, it probably wouldn't be the world's worst thing if he did sit out, the extra half a season that they're going to play. But I guarantee you, deep down in his heart, he still wants to play, because that's what baseball players do. But
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he everyone on ESPN was just just dogging the shit out of him, and I sat there and I listened to him. Like, he's not the only one that's thinking this. He's not by himself on this. I guarantee that every player
there's hundreds of other players.
Oh yeah, by far. Anyone that hasn't made their big paycheck yet is wanting to play for what they're supposed to make. And yeah, I don't blame them one bit. I mean, this is something that I'm sure built into contracts. Is not, it's not in black and white. It's not to the letter, because hell, nothing like this has ever happened. So I mean, you can kind of compare it. Excuse me, that one snuck up on me. But you can kind of compare it to a strike shortened season or something to that effect. But still, even that, I mean, it's completely different. I mean, you're talking about players and people's health and safety, as opposed to, stuff that's not properly, or they haven't seen eye to eye on negotiation. Excuse me. So in that aspect, it's completely different. And I think this is something it's very unique for all major sports, and just because we've never been here. We've never been here. We don't know how to handle it. There's no handbook. There's no procedural handbook to say, okay, this many days after this, you do this. Then you do this. Then you do this. That's just not there. That's just not there. And especially for someone as big a name as Bryce to come out and support him, I think is huge, because when you come from someone with that big of a voice, that big of a platform, everyone takes the time to step back and go, whoa, okay, maybe this young kid really does have something to bitch about. And just like you said, there's probably hundreds of other folks that, and don't get me wrong, Bryce is going to want his money too. Mike Trout's going to want his money. They signed those contracts for a reason. It's not like they signed them just to sign them and be like, maybe I'll get all this money. No, that's not really the case. They signed it because they wanted all that money, and they negotiated to it, and their play has earned them that. So some of the things we're kind of taken out of context with this quote. He says, I got to get mine while I can get it. Well, sure. But did they have to use it as negatively as they did? No. The media kind of took and twisted this to kind of make our boy Blake Snell feel and look just horrible. And I really don't think that was the general nature of his response. But overall, yeah, he wants his money. Any athlete, any person, you take people on unemployment right now. If they're making less than what they made at work, hell, they want to go back to work. They want to make the money that they're used to making. So it's not just Blake Snell has an argument that he's not going to get all of his money. There's a lot of people in this country that don't have jobs right now, and they're laid off or furlonged, that are on unemployment and feel the same fucking way. So if you're the one that says that baseball players are way overpaid, or sports athletes are way overpaid, that's fine. But that's their livelihood too. You have to remember that. And not to say that all athletes just go out and blow their money, because I know a lot of them don't. But especially the younger kids that are just coming up, or haven't even signed an arbitration deal or anything. I mean, yeah, then that's a pretty big deal. And then you get into the minor leaguers that are getting paid basically what most people are getting for unemployment. And so, yeah, put the whole thing in perspective. Everyone wants the money that they deserve. So I don't want to hear any naysayers and be like, oh my God, the athletes too overpaid. Well, it's still their livelihood, and they earn the right to make that money.
Yeah, and the people that say that they have no idea what kind of money these owners are bringing in.
Oh yeah.
Because if you had any idea of what these owners were making, then you would understand why these players are being paid what they're being paid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the ticket
You know.
prices reflect that. The concessions, reflect that. And here, when anyone comes to the table with the argument that athletes are overpaid, here's the kind of synopsis that I throw down. I said, all right, well, how many Tom Hanks movies have you went to the theater to watch? And Tom Hanks is a very popular actor. He's a very well world renowned actor and has made a lot of good films. And I guarantee the vast majority of us have went to a theater to watch a Tom Hanks movie. Now, and this is a stat that goes. I mean, it's probably 7 or 8 years old. I don't know how many movies Tom's made since then, but Tom made $45 million per movie. And that's not including the royalties, the kickbacks over time, and all of this. It was 45 mil to get him on the set and let him star in your movie. To me, that's $45 million is most of these films take 3 or 4 months to film. So multiply that by 3 or 4, and that's what Mr. Tom Hanks makes in a year. Now, which to you? I mean, there's a artistic aspect to acting, which only certain people can do, and there's an athletic part, obviously, of being an athlete that only a certain amount of people can do. So Tom Hanks makes more money a year than Mike Trout. Now, are you going to tell me that actors are overpaid? Because I've never heard that argument before. I've heard that ticket prices to a movie and popcorn and shit like that for a family of 5 is like $100, but that's not the actor's fault. That's the movie theater's fault. But I've never heard anyone say that an actor or actress is overpaid, because no one ever looks at it like that. So the next time that you're bringing up how much athletes make compared to other celebrities, they're kind of underpaid in a sense. And if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk at all, he thinks athletes are vastly underpaid, but that's his opinion, not mine. I think they're right about where they need to be. And so, I mean, it's an argument that you're gonna have with any regular person that's not a sports fan, or even some sports fans too. They're like, oh my God, Mike Trout's getting paid $40 million a year. Well, the man's the best player possibly the game's ever seen. So,
but you see those big contracts though, and you got to remember there's only a select few in the league that are in all the leagues that are making those big contracts. There's more guys in the show. There's more guys in the NBA. There's more guys in the NFL that are making kind of for lack of a better term some slum change compared to what guys like Mike Trout are making and Bryce Harper. There's a lot more guys that are just barely getting by. Especially when you start talking about guys, all these players in the minor leagues.
Oh yeah.
They're barely getting by.
I saw a stat the other day that said that, if this is true, it totally went under my radar. But Chris Paul makes $43 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's like okay. Yeah. There's a cap in basketball. They have the max deal is the super max deal, and I guarantee this is the super max deal that he signed. But it makes you think, if Chris Paul can make $43 million, if LeBron really wanted to, how much could he make?
Mm-hmm.
Would he be able to, but then that super max contract takes up so much of that cap. Who are you going to put around him? So I think
look how many for how long there was it with Tom Brady. I mean, you look at all the success that the Patriots had for years and years. And it's because he was willing to take that pay cut that a lot of these other guys that, are, very good at what they do, and maybe the best at their position, but they don't have the championships that a guy like Brady has, and it's because, they wanted their money.
And I'm curious to see moving forward with Patrick Mahomes with his contract. I mean, the dude, he's the best quarterback in the league, Super Bowl champion, NFL MVP. Is he going to go down the road that, like, some of these other quarterbacks that have taken the money and then not seen nearly the success because they eat up so much cap room? Or, like you said, do something to where, because Peyton Manning and Drew Brees, they've never been, you never hear them being like, talked about amongst the top 5 even when Peyton was in the league, you never really heard about him being, very high priced. And, like you mentioned Tom Brady up until this year, he was probably, I think saw a stat. He was like the 12th highest paid quarterback in the league last year, which doesn't surprise me because, I mean, there's always the next one, going back to Matt Stafford, he was the highest paid quarterback, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one.
Yep.
So if Pat Mahomes wants to, I'm pretty sure he could be the first like $40 million, $45 million quarterback ever in the NFL. But
absolutely. I mean, he's going to be the first $40 million quarterback that we ever see, I believe.
But
and that's $40 million at least.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, but it wouldn't shock me if he would for the this next contract, do like a 5-year deal for a lower amount just to keep him. He's barely in his prime. He's the ceiling is the floor, if you ask Mr. Jordan, but you're barely scratching the surface of what this kid can do, and that's the scary part. He's this good, this young, and the sky's the limit. So, do you give a hometown discount to bring in other players to help you? He's already got one. To get in there with the Montanas and the three Peters, stuff like that. Do you want to be historically known for stuff like that, or do you want to get paid? And I think
that's going to be a very good question too, because as good as Mahomes is, and we know, and I've said it before, I believe that he is the best quarterback talent-wise that I've ever seen in the game. But he also has a very, very good supporting cast with him.
Yeah.
That if they are going to make this $45 million quarterback, they're going to have to lose out on some of those names. You're not going to be able to sign that and then be able to keep a Travis Kelce there and a Tyreek Hill there and keep the running backs, where they have
in the defense
2 or 3 different running backs that are very good. And then, yeah, exactly. They put money into the defense this offseason, or this past offseason, and that is the reason that got them to the Super Bowl, because their offense was just as good, if not better, than the year before, but their defense couldn't stop anybody.
Right.
And that was what they knew that they needed to approach that. They did. They got better on defense, and then they win the Super Bowl.
Exactly. And you kind of saw it with Russell Wilson after he signed his contract. They haven't been back to the Super Bowl. Have they been close? Sure.
Basically, the Legion of Boom was gone.
Yeah.
when that all happened.
Yeah, because you can't pay them all. And that's the part that kind of shocks me with Jerry Jones, is he still finds a way to pay him. Don't really know how it works out. I mean.
Yeah, but then again, we haven't seen Dallas with a fucking defense since the late '90s when they were winning Super Bowls.
True. It is kind of hard to have the top paid offensive line and defensive line, and then having at the time the highest paid running back, and now you got Dak. So that's got to be an accounting nightmare. If you work for the front office of the Cowboys, they probably have to have 2 people at least making sure that their salary cap is where it needs to be, because the moves that they make and the money that they spend, I mean, it seems like they're always spending on everything, but they're always missing something. You know what I mean? And but it's going to be very, very interesting. And I think that it's getting back to Pat Mahomes, is he's got probably one of the best advisors around in Andy Reid. So he's in good hands as far as someone to consult with or at least get advice from. And I guarantee that Andy's going to say, I'm not going to tell you no, don't go make your money. But on the other hand, are you a team player or are you just a stat guy? Are you a stat guy making money, or, So it is going to be a very, very, it's going to be a tightrope, and I like I said, it wouldn't shock me either way, but something just tells me that the way that Mahomes is, just the way he presents himself, his makeup, I'm kind of leaning more towards, I really think that it's going to be a hometown discount. He won't be the highest paid, even though he could. at least for this next contract, and then win a couple more Super Bowls, and then the gloves come off, and now give me my fucking money. So that's but like I said, in today's it's easy to say sitting behind this microphone with not a $40 million contract sitting in front of me or a $25 million contract and saying, all right, Turb, which one do you want? Because 99% of us would be like, give me that big 4-0, where do I sign and where do I initial? Because I want to get motherfucking paid. So, but it's just going to depend on what his goals are and where he sees himself. And, even though he's very young in his career, he's doing stuff that no other quarterback has done or done it as prolifically or athletically as he's done. So where does he want to go down in NFL history? Does he want to be?
Yeah. And in my opinion, with football, to me, you got to get your money when you can.
It could be one play and your career's over. Yeah.
Yeah. For Mahomes to be, going, on his, well, he didn't play his rookie year, but then to be, win the MVP in his second year, and then win the Super Bowl in his third year, and win the Super Bowl MVP. And basically, he's proved everything that you can prove. I mean, He is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. When his time comes up, he's got to take that contract and take all the money that he can get, become the highest paid player in NFL history, because that's what he deserves. And I just don't see him. For him to do anything other than that would just not be very smart. Because in football, of all sports, you have to get your money when you can.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, it wouldn't shock me either way. Just something inside me says that there's going to be at least a little bit of a hometown discount, just so they can keep the train rolling, reload when they need to, and just continue great success in Kansas City. Or he takes the big money deal, and they've got to get real creative in drafting players and keeping them on their rookie contracts for as long as possible, and then just bye-bye. Just so they, just to keep under that salary cap. But so 2Ks, today is kind of a bittersweet day. It's Sunday, and one of the things that I've absolutely fallen in love with every Sunday, and I'm sure you have too, is watching The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary. And super stoked for the 2 episodes tonight. However, it's the last 2. It's episode 9 and 10. And I'm sad that it's going to be over. I could watch probably 10 more weeks of this, or however how much longer they want to make it. I'd be, what I'm hoping with this last one is not only do they are going to dive into, obviously they get more into the final season that Jordan played there, but I would like to see kind of behind the scenes of the ownership portion of Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? The executive side, the side that not a lot of people, we know a lot of stuff about his playing career, but as far as, which a lot of people might think is boring, but to me, I think it'd be kind of cool, because that's not something you see every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so out of all the episodes so far, 2Ks, what's been your favorite part? What part was like, wow, I didn't know that, or holy shit, I forgot that happened, or just something very interesting that you didn't know?
Man, it's kind of hard to pick a spot, just because there's so much going back and forth in it that it's hard to remember, what exact episode had everything. Probably, in all honesty, one of the most intriguing episodes to me to watch was the one that wasn't even about Jordan. It was about Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
And and everything with him. And, Michael Jordan going to Vegas to, basically pull him out of the room and tell him, you got to get your ass back. And
put some clothes on, leave Carmen Electra here.
Yeah, Carmen Electra hiding behind the couch.
Yeah.
And picking Jordan, of all people, to go to Vegas to get him, like, I'm sure that there was probably no argument there. Like, Jordan was probably jumping all over his chance.
No, that's
even if it was only hitting up Vegas for a day, he was probably, oh, hell yeah, I'll go there.
Well, I think it was planned too, because Rodman, had a very good relationship with Jordan, and they were really really tight. So him going over there probably would have done a little better than like sending Phil or Scotty or anyone else over there. When the goat's coming to get you,
Jerry Krause over there.
Yeah. Well, fuck. Between Jerry Krause and Carol Baskins, I think there's no more or two people that haven't been hated more this whole quarantine. So.
Oh no, absolutely not.
One of the weirdest things that I took away from this, and I was the '91 Bulls. I would have been 11, so just kind of give you an age reference. And I was following I followed the Bulls the whole time Jordan was there. Especially I was getting up to when I really got into them is when they started making their title runs, and then finally got there, and just watching how completely dominant someone can be at their trade is absolutely fucking astonishing. But the thing that I didn't, there's bits and pieces. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But the thing that shocked the shit out of me is both Dennis Rodman and Phil Jackson were so in depth with Indian and Indian heritage, Native American heritage. Phil, I can kind of see that because half of this documentary when he's walking around outside looks like he has an Inspector Gadget coat on, which is pretty dope. But Phil's always the introspective, very thoughtful, very deep person. So him being into the Native American culture didn't shock me at all. Now Dennis Rodman, Lord knows what that man's really into. But I thought it was kind of neat how just to watch Phil connect with each and every one of those guys and with Jordan's help get the best out of them. And then too, actually seeing exactly how the triangle offense works. I've always heard about it. I kind of knew how it worked, but to see it diagrammed and be like, you look at it and you go, this is fucking simple. Why don't more people use this? But again, it takes special players to kind of buy into it because it's more of a team thing as opposed to isolation and one-on-one, which in today's game, I'm pretty sure James Harden would hate the triangle offense. Because
and that's the thing too. Like, I'm pretty sure there's no argument at all. We're never going to find an argument really about anybody of who the best basketball player of all time is. It's pretty easy. It's Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. But but you imagine Michael Jordan playing the years that he did and not playing in that Phil Jackson system.
Yeah.
And he probably doesn't have the 6 championships. I still think he probably gets at least 3 or 4 just because of how talented those teams were.
Yeah.
But imagine his numbers. His numbers took especially his scoring numbers took a significant drop because of that offense, and because it was an offense that all 5 guys were involved in. There wasn't really a whole lot of isolation ball where what you see today, where basically every single trip down the floor, and when you're watching the Houston Rockets team, that it's going to be James Harden or Russell Westbrook, and they're just going to isolate and go one-on-one. Yeah. And whether they drag a double or a triple, then they might end up kicking out to a shooter. But, really the Bulls are playing that triangle offense the whole time with Jackson, and until like the end of a ball game where you need a basket or something like that. That's the only time where Jordan's actually playing his isolation ball. So his numbers would have been significantly different if he was playing, more of the style today. And on top of that, playing more in the style today, and the way that these, the way that there's so many, stretch 4s and stretch 5s that can step out in the perimeter and shoot, all that would do is create space in the lane for Jordan just to do what he does best and be able to drive and get to the basket. If Jordan was playing in today's game, I honestly think that he could be a 40 points a game, guy.
Yeah, because he'd be shooting 30, 35 free throws a game. Mm-hmm. And, getting back to your point too is, today's NBA is 50% isolation, 50% 3-point shooting. And Jordan wasn't really a prolific 3-point shooter, like a Reggie Miller or, players of that genre, but he was an above average jump shooter, obviously a very clutch shooter. But if the tendency were to be, this is going to be a pretty much a 3-point shootout, he would I guarantee, especially after watching this, he'd go fix his game and would be the best 3-point shooter of all time ever.
Mm-hmm.
And just
Yep.
watching his game develop is very, very, I mean, just awestruck how
Mm-hmm.
he could go from, like you said, scoring 38, 37, 38 points a game down to 26, 27. And I think younger kids that watch this look at the final scores of these games and they're like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
92 to 80. And that was a
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote
Mm-hmm.
blowout. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I want to know. I would really like to know the season that was played this year and then last year, just to kind of give it a little bit broader spectrum. I want to know how many games ended with non-triple digits for each team, because it seems like to win an NBA game now you got to hit 120 points, and you're gonna win by 5. It'd be 120 to 115 instead of, like I said, 80 or 92 to 80. And I know it doesn't sound like a big difference, but I remember growing up and watching these games, and if they hit 100, we were excited because it really didn't happen as frequently. I'm not going to say as often, but as frequently. And now you're shocked when they don't hit 100 points. And getting back to the 3-point shooting, there's a lot more foul shots being shot nowadays, which if you're any kind of a shooter or easy free points, and yeah, the game's definitely different. And I 100% agree with you that he would be averaging probably 45, 47 points. Just like I said, he'd be shooting 30 to 35 free throws a game. And Jordan was like a 85%, somewhere around there, free throw shooter for his career. So not quite Steph numbers where they're like automatic, but pretty damn close. So you give Michael that many free points, yeah, he's going to average over 30 points a game just from the foul line. And I just I like the way they've done it to where they brought in specific players. We've heard from Scotty, even though time has not done Scotty well. He looks like an old leathery lesbian, but that's just my opinion. The first time they showed him, I'm like, who the fuck? Oh, Scotty! Wow. Okay. And but I like the way it's done. It's almost like Quentin Tarantino-esque, where it bounces around and it's not extremely, it's not linear. It breaks up the monotony. I like how they've done it. But yeah, like I said, it saddens me that this is the last 2 episodes, but to see the other side.
At the same time, I'm excited just to see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, me too. It's been quite a ride, and it's also kind of neat to go back and see the anchors on ESPN, the Dan Patricks and Keith Olbermann and their outrageously 80s 90s hair, which is awesome. And also too, just going back and watching the fashion from those to the early to late 90s to today. It seems like the players in their suits, the suits were all baggy and wavy, and now they're so tight you can see their junk.
And guys are showing up to games wearing a fucking pair of capris nowadays. It's like,
or Lord knows what the fuck Westbrook's gonna show up in. But yeah,
one of the cooler episodes too that I liked was the one where they had Kobe Bryant on it.
I was just gonna get to that.
Talking, me. I didn't get to watch a whole lot of Jordan. Obviously, I was so young, when this was all going on. But I was able to watch Kobe, basically my whole life. And when everything was over, when people talked about Kobe, and even after Kobe passed away here just a couple months ago, one of the biggest things that was talked about was always that Mamba mentality. And when what he said on in this documentary in that episode where he was talking. None of that. He would have had none of that if it wasn't for Jordan.
Yeah.
He learned all that from Jordan. And watching this all play out in this documentary, for someone like me that never really got to grow up and watch Jordan, you get to see it really, really play out and how there's a lot of truth to what Kobe said there. Actually, it's all true. I mean, Kobe tried so hard to be the next Michael Jordan. He wanted to be like Mike. That was exactly, and that was what he made. His entire career was based around being like Mike. I mean, from the way that he walked, from the way that he, played on the floor, from everything. Yes, yeah.
You put Jordan side by side with Kobe, and their shots look almost identical. Their jump shots look almost identical. But yeah,
and they both had that. They both had that, that cutthroat mentality where it doesn't matter what it takes, what I got to do. I'm going to shit down your throat when we play this game tonight. And those are the only two players, and I can name off that have had that mentality on the basketball floor for their entire career.
There's probably been a few others that have had it but can't back it up nearly as much as those do or did. I mean, it's you. And when people throw LeBron's name in there with that cutthroat mentality, I kind of have to laugh. LeBron can have.
That's my biggest knock. That's my biggest knock on LeBron, is not having that. He has all the skills, probably more skills, natural ability and skills than both of these guys. But my knock on LeBron, and it's always been this, is he doesn't have that cutthroat mentality.
Yeah, and like I said, when people try to throw that in there, I kind of laugh. And just watching everything that went into making Michael Jordan, and going back to even when he played baseball, talking about how when he started the season on a 13-game hitting streak. And then everyone's like, all right, he can hit the fastball. Let's see if he can hit the hook. That's where being a professional baseball player, you can tell how hard it is. I'm not saying that hitting a 93, 95 mile an hour fastball is easy by any means. If it were, there'd be a lot more people doing it. But it's a whole different ball game when you're throwing 95 heat and then snap off a changeup or, a 87 mile an hour slider in the dirt. I mean, that's when the ball's moving like that, then that's a whole different ball game. And for because Terry Francona was his manager at the Barons, and just detailing how he would stay after and just his determination and wanting to be a Major League Baseball player. And Terry Francona came out and said if he would have got 1,500 at bats in the minor leagues, he said he would have been in the major leagues and been a starting outfielder for any number of teams, not just the White Sox. So just to see his drive, determination, and then had to change his body to do that, and then come back and had to change his body back again. And in part of the documentary, when he comes back after playing baseball and he's not in basketball shape, that's the only time you really saw Jordan have kind of like a chink in his armor, is that his body, he didn't set his body up to do that. And to even do as good as he did with that body, he still did pretty fucking good. But that wasn't Jordan standards. But you know what? He went in the offseason, changed everything back the way it was, came back and won some W's. Won some championships. And so it was worth it. It was worth it.
Yeah.
But especially you brought it up that you really didn't watch Jordan play a lot. Looking at some of the when they're talking about the finals and watching him play, what was your kind of your initial reaction to, especially once it gets into the when they're going up against the Pistons, especially because that's when the height of my Michael Jordanism went through the roof, is when him and the Pistons were just beating the hell out of each other. I mean, obviously you'll never see that again in the NBA because you can't touch someone like that anymore. But just watching some of that film, what were your thoughts on how the game like then was played, and just kind of the way Jordan looked at how he attacked the Pistons?
Yeah, and kind of going back to when the Pistons were dominating that in the early '90s, and those Bulls teams, I think it's probably safe to say those Bulls teams were probably more talented than those Pistons teams. The problem was they just couldn't match up with them, physically.
Yep.
They just they were just getting their butts kicked, And throughout the course of a 7-game series,
mentally
they kind
too
of hold up, you know. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And throughout the course of a series, they just kind of hold up to that. But then, you know, you look at I can't remember the name of the trainer that Michael's personal trainer that he has. But they, you know, talking with him and all the work that they did in the off season with Michael. But at the same time, it wasn't just Michael that had to put in all that work. It was everybody else also. I mean, it was, you know, Pippen had to put into work and get stronger. And at that time, they had Horace Grant. Horace Grant had to put in the time and get stronger. And so it was more of the entire team needed to be able to get stronger. And when they came out and they won, what was the first one that they won? Was it 92 or 93?
I want to say 91 was the first one. 91, 92, 93. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So when they won that first one, they were actually the team that, you know, bullied the Pistons around a little bit in that series. And it's just that, to me, that's like you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said that we're never going to see that again, where, you know, that bully ball and you see teams winning games, you know, in the 80s or sometimes even in the 70s, you know, they're winning games. You know, nowadays, if teams aren't scoring 110, 115 points at least, you know, that is shocking. Most times we're seeing games at 120, 130 range.
Or if it's an all-star game, like 150 and 160, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. And back then, when those guys were playing, the all-star game was a big freaking deal. I mean, I can remember watching some of those all-star games, and one of the ones I remember the most is when like Jordan, basically all those guys that were on the Dream Team were in the All-Star game, and you know it was personal. I want to say that was when Kobe was he might have been a rookie or in his second season when he was there, and it was personal. You had guys calling each other out, and you know they wanted to go one-on-one with guys, and I mean that was to me. You know, I like I said, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of that, but man, watching this documentary and seeing that and being reminded of that, man, I wish I would have been watching. I don't think I would have had very many bad things to say about the NBA like I do today.
No, because they actually allowed him to fucking play back then. That's the part, you know, there's too many ticky-tack fouls. There's too many, you know, which, again, you can kind of point the finger at Jordan because there were Jordan rules, but it's even gotten more out of hand now. And what irritates the shit out of me is it takes away from the game flow. It takes away from just the overall watchability of the game. And if any one of our 2K crew that has kids that love the NBA now, show them this, and see what they think of this game. Because this, even though it's played with the same ball and the same two hoops and all the rules are pretty much all the dimensions of the court are the same, the game's different. The game is different. I mean, even to me, the height of the Bulls was probably some of the best NBA action I've ever seen, and it's kind of gone downhill a little bit. Will I watch an NBA game? Sure. Is it my favorite thing to do? No. But when Jordan was playing, that was the highest priority of my day, was to watch Jordan and the Bulls play, if I could, because back then, you know, cable wasn't a huge deal yet, especially when I lived out in the country. So whenever WGN would have a game on, or NBC or something like that, I was locked eyes glued to it, which meant pretty much the playoffs for the most part. But it was must-see TV. And I can't say that any NBA thing, besides the finals, of course, is must-see TV for me. College, on the other hand, yes, there's definitely college games that are on my radar that I want and have to see, aside from the tournament, because the tournament is must-see TV for like 3 weeks. But maybe it's just because I was younger and fell in love with, you know, because Jordan was one of my first like idols. You know, everyone wanted to be like Jordan. And I don't know if it was that part of it captivated me, or just getting used to basketball like that. And now today's game, it's kind of boring, to be honest with you. No one plays defense. Everyone shoots threes. And, you know, either that or James Harden travels 4 times, just going up the court. He travels 4 times. or LeBron forgetting to actually dribble the basketball and just pick it up and run with it, which I don't see how that can happen either. You're a professional fucking basketball player. You dribble the ball, asshole. You don't tuck it away and run it like a halfback, dummy. But, I mean, there are some special players right now that, yes, I do like watching LeBron. I love watching Luka. When Zion,
Luka.
yeah, that's your boy. That's your boy. And even watching, Zion, the few games that we did get to see Zion, he was very, very, it was very entertaining to watch. But is it the same type of game? No, not at all. Not at all. And maybe maybe I'm dating myself, but I prefer to watch this. I keep saying this because The Last Dance is on the TV right up here to my left. But I prefer 90s basketball over today's basketball 110%. And like I said, there's Shaq was another one that I watched very closely when he was coming up. But yeah, there's maybe to me, I watch players on the NBA or keep tabs of them rather than watch whole entire games. But yeah, especially this time of year, this would be probably in the heart of the NBA playoffs. That's the word I was searching for. NBA playoffs. But I would probably be plopped in front of the TV watching a baseball game that's kind of a regular season game rather than watching NBA playoffs. So that's just my opinion. But 2Ks.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
The good news is after tonight, and granted we're not going to get any more of The Last Dance. We've already talked about that. But ESPN's going to come out with, it's like the next 5 or 6 Sundays, like 30 for 30 style, different subjects, different things. And yes, I'm very interested to see the one with McGuire and Sosa. Kind of curious to see where they go on that. If McGuire and or Sosa is going to say a lot about it. And when I keep saying I guarantee everything's going to come back to PEDs with these guys with this whole episode. I'm kind of I don't want that talk to ruin a good show like that with something that brought back, put baseball back on the map, brought more fans back to baseball. And we're talking about the 98 home run chase with McGuire and Sosa, with McGuire ultimately breaking, both of them broke the single season record, but McGuire went on to hit 72. And, it's something that no matter who you were or who you were talking about, everyone knew exactly what you're talking about when you're talking about, McGuire and Sosa both hit one last night. They've got this and this. I mean, it was something that not even sports fans would talk about. So I'm kind of curious to see what's the split on how much of this meant to baseball as opposed to the PED scandal that followed up with this. So hopefully it doesn't drag it down too much, but I still want to know, because I guarantee if they brought Sosa or McGuire on, neither one of them are going to say, all right, guys, I got a secret. We use PEDs in 98, hit a lot of home runs. But shh, don't tell anybody. It would shock my ass if either one of them came out and said, yep, we did. I just want to come clean. It's something that's been on my conscience ever since. Yes, I did it. I did it. I apologize. Was it right? No, blah, blah, blah. And just give the whole, very generic apology speech. Like I said, I highly doubt that would happen. Otherwise, if that were to if that did happen, this documentary would probably be 4 and 5 hours long, and it would have already aired by now. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm also kind of curious to see the Bruce Lee one. Bruce Lee is. I'm not a huge fan, but he's always been someone that's been very very intriguing to me. He's a very very deep person, and you talk about work ethic and determination and shit like that. That man is the cornerstone of that. I mean, you could put him right there with Michael Jordan as far as hard work, dedication, and just all out badassery. You know what I mean? So that one's gonna, and there's a handful of other ones. Some of them I'm like, yeah, whatever. But definitely as a baseball fan, I'm really looking forward to the Sosa McGuire one. Are there any other ones that you're kind of stoked besides that one?
I thought didn't they say something about doing a one Vince Carter also?
Yeah.
I thought I heard something about a Vince Carter one. That one.
I'd be down to
kind of going back to the kind of the time where of the NBA that I was when I was young, growing up and watching. When I started really watching the NBA, it was kind of right in the middle of that. Vince Carter, who I still think to this day is the best dunker of all time.
Hands down.
And and he's kind of the one that brought the dunk contest back, and to where it was relevant again to watch. And now it's back to being a joke again.
Yeah.
But at that time, when he was doing his thing, man, that was everybody wanted All-Star Weekend to get here just so we could watch him dunk.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. I mean, and from the looks of things, Vince Carter could probably win a dunk contest now, and he's like almost 50. How he's
just kudos enough to him just to be able to still be playing right now.
Oh yeah, and play like not just sit the bench, actually play relatively extended minutes and be at. He's got to be 43, 44 years old, and to keep continuing to do that, I mean, that takes a lot of being in shape, and B, just a lot of guts just to go out there and do it for. I guarantee there's folks that could get out there and do it one more time for like a game, but to do it for a whole season, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
So yeah, for him to stay as physically fit and just tone as he is, man, that's 3/4 of the battle right there. The other quarter is still keeping your your hand-eye coordination, your reaction time and stuff like that, which through practice you can kind of keep up with the times. But yeah, for Father Time is undefeated. Father Time is undefeated, and there's going to be a certain point where Breeze and Brady are going to meet that test and meet the test, and the test is going to be harder than the year before. So, which I'm not sure each and every year is, but they're going to reach a point where they're just like, fuck, I can't do this anymore. So, well, we're getting close to that hour mark here, 2Ks. Do you have anything else that you want to chat about? Any loose ends we need to tie up?
No, I'm just ready to watch the end of it of The Last Dance tonight.
Amen, brother. Amen. Well, since I didn't mention this out the jump, I have to mention it now. A big shout out to Chris and Gary Zeed at the Drop Anchor Tavern. Look them up on Facebook. They have amazing food. You can reach them at, like I said, their Facebook has the menu on it. Check the menu out. Now, keep in mind, folks, when you're looking at the menu, it is just a shortened quarantine menu. Once everything gets up and running, that menu will go back to where it was. And so while we're still in quarantine and we can do takeout only, give them a call, 269-646-2525. Tell them that Turbo and 2K sent you, and we want you to support them because they support us, motherfuckers. So give them a call, give them your money, tip well, because the workers are working, a very limited hours. So I think that's enough of all the paperwork here. I'm saying paperwork, and there's not even any paperwork on my desk, so I'm not. Must be time to go because I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore. Well, 2Ks, I hope that there's got to be a story, and I know that probably further from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, probably every sports talk place is going to be talking the last episode of The Last Dance. So hopefully something comes out. I mean, I'm assuming there was a NASCAR winner today. I mean, if I follow NASCAR right,
anybody needs to know.
If you turn left enough.
Know, just ask Chell.
Oh yeah, hillbilly Chelsea, drinking her bush lattes, but yeah, and from what I'm hearing, golf is going to get back up. Obviously with no people there, no fans. That's the easiest way to say it. So
that's actually
that's kind of
something to be
exciting.
looking forward to next
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah,
I got the charity match next weekend with
that's true.
the Tiger and Peyton
Yeah.
versus Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady.
Yep. Yeah, that I have a feeling that I'd be leaning towards probably Tiger and Peyton on that one. Just a sheer, I don't know. I have a feeling Tiger's game is a little bit better than Phil's right now, but on the other hand, I have a feeling Brady's game is a little bit better than Peyton's. So it's going to be fun regardless.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah. And it's all for a good cause.
Yeah, yeah, and I just hope they learned from the last one, the Phil and Tiger. Hey, you got to make this more entertaining for people, and so I have a feeling it's going to be a lot better produced, and just a lot of the hiccups are out of the way now that they've done it at least once. So yes, that I did forget about that. Thank you for reminding me of that, 2Ks, because yes, that is going to be awesome. Is going to be awesome, and hopefully this week is a little bit. I mean, we did have some dashes of nice weather here in the last week, but it's been overall just a kind of a rainy, nasty mess. I mean, it's thank God the rain came because my mud had dried out, so I needed to get it muddy again. So
Yep.
yeah, we need to get some warmer weather so we can go golfing and hang out and
Absolutely
have some fucking fun. I mean, and of course, drink responsibly, some adult beverages outside, because I can't explain it. It's beer tastes better when you're drinking it outside. Am I wrong?
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong.
No.
You're not wrong.
Grabbing it out, and the best thing is when you have your cooler full of ice and it's been, it's like 3 or 4 hours, and you get that little bit of water that's in the bottom of your cooler, unless you spend $500 on a stupid Yeti. But every normal person who has a $25 cooler from Myers, it's that water on the bottom that is ice fucking cold and your beer is just floating in it. Those are the best beers because you're drinking it outside and that beer is so fucking cold it'll hurt your teeth. That's amazing. That's amazing. God bless America. Well, all right, 2Ks. I will let's get out of here, but we got to tell Jim Rome that we're coming for him because we always do every week. And one of these weeks, man, we're gonna get on your radar, and you're gonna blow us up, and we're gonna rock your fucking world. So Jim Rome, we're coming for you, brother.